We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. And you've just crossed over into the Trend Zone. Dave here with Casey, and we are the football dudes. Are you ready, brother?
Oh, you got that right, my friend.
You've just crossed over into the Trend Zone. It is Tuesday, November 25th, and we're coming at you from Los Angeles, California. And it is a lovely 57 degrees here in Santa Monica after the rains came through and washed everything clean. It was beautiful.
64 degrees up in the Sherm, Dave. You know how we do.
In today's episode, we'll talk about there might be a Joe Shiesty sighting in Cincy. 42nd times the charm. And how about a tantalizing triple nug to go with the Turkey Day trio of totally tasty games? How about a little Survivor fantasy go back starts of the week? And we'll cover all of the awesome games coming up this week in the NFL. But Casey, we cannot take a trip into the Trend Zone without tasty nugs for the people. Please tell the people what you've got.
Well, you just promised a tantalizing triple nug, so I guess I better deliver. And that is actually what I'm going to do, Dave. We have a trio that is tempting fate to set new records. We're going to go ahead and start with our Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford, dude. This freak, he is on pace to set a record-setting touchdown interception ratio. Currently sitting at 30-2. Okay,
Wow.
so if you extrapolate that, go to the end of the season, that would put him at 46 tutties and 3 interceptions.
Wow.
Even better than Tom Terrific, doing it at age 37. Not too bad for Stafford. But wait, there's more.
There's
Miles
more?
Garrett on pace to demolish the season-long sack record set by the Gap, Michael Strahan, in 16 games. Currently, Miles Garrett is 18 sacks, Dave. Put him on pace for 28. Strahan did it with 22 and a half, both 29 years old. And then, of course, the third and final, the three-named guy, Jackson Smith in Jigba. He's averaging over 119 yards a game, which would trail Calvin Johnson, who did 122 and 7, but with 17 games, JSN would be the first receiver to top 2,000 yards in a season. Davies already got 1,313 yards.
Wow.
Dude is getting it done, man. Fun to watch.
Yes.
Records plenty right on the horizon for these prolific players.
Yeah, and just to keep the record straight, the current record by Strahan is a tie with TJ Watt at 22 and a half. So this would, though, crush that record. And if Miles Garrett can play the Raiders every week, sign him up for that
Oh,
because he's
yeah.
all in. All right, Casey, moving forward, this show, The Trend Zone, is available for subscription for the people on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Let's move
Righteous.
it. Yeah, let's move it on to the top trending story, shall we, Casey? Not a bad debut start for Shador Sanders. Yes, some people were rooting for him, others rooting against him. Seems to be a very polarizing guy.
Yeah, no, I know that the dog pound loves him, and it's good when you get to play the Raiders. But Shador will get the start in Week 13. Had a decent week last week, 11-20, 209 yards, a touchdown, and an INT. But his longest play of the game, 66-yard touchdown pass, but it was a screen that went the distance. But you know what? It was the first time all season we saw a deep ball come out of there, and that's something that Shador does pretty well. And at this moment, the Browns need all the stoke they can get. Although
Yeah.
Stefanski wasn't really giving out game balls to Shador, and in the locker room, it was a weird scene. He was congratulating everybody else, not Shador. So,
Interesting.
but he is going to get the start. Dude, another young quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, probably won't get the start. He is in the concussion protocol. So,
Yeah.
bad news for the Vikes,
Yeah,
man.
bummer, but that may be a little more Max Brosmer for the people, Casey.
Boss Ross.
Also, good news, possibly, in fact, in all likelihood, for the Bengals.
Yeah, Joe Shiesty set to return on Thanksgiving in that night game, saving NBC from ratings disasters, baby. It's Bengals and Ravens. Burrow hasn't played since week 2. He had the Sergeant Hulka going. He should be all better. I don't know if it's too late to save their season. Who knows? If you come out and beat these Ravens, that will get you right back in the mix. Already 8 losses, so it's going to
Yeah.
be tricky though. But T. Higgins will not play in the game because he has a concussion, and Trey Hendrickson will not play in that game. So a lot working against the Bengals, but it's divisional, so that will be a welcome sight to see Shiesty back there.
Yeah, sure will be, and it'll they have every right to believe they can go out there and win that football game. The
Mhm.
Ravens are kind of they're surging, but I mean, this will be a
Lamar
challenge
looks
for them.
banged up, dude. He does not look right.
No question about that. Casey, the Patriots will also be without one of their young guys that's a super talent.
Yeah, Will Campbell, man, the left tackle is doing a good job for blocking for Drake May. He will not be there. He's got a knee injury. Vrabel said he's probably going to miss some time. They're also probably going to be without Jared Wilson. He's got a high ankle sprain, so you got to watch
Damn.
out in this Super Bowl rematch. You got to protect May. Luckily, the Patriots have a nice little lead in that division. And speaking of guards missing time, Trey Smith of the Chiefs, he's probably going to miss time with an ankle injury. Oh, man, he's going to miss the Cowboys game. Dang, shoot, I can't believe it. And speaking of
But
Cowboys,
yeah,
Tyler Guyton's going to miss Thursday game with the high ankle sprain. So Nate Thomas came in, played very well against the Eagles. So hopefully he can keep that going and protect Dak back there a little bit.
yeah, Casey, and there's an eagle that's got a bad talon.
Yeah, not a broken wing. You said it, the talent. Andrew Makuba, he fractured his leg against the Cowboys. So he will be out for the Black Friday game against the Bears.
Yeah, and that puts him. They're going to stick him on IR and likely to have a surgery there. So that might. I mean, he's kind of hopeful for the playoffs. Uh, so
Playoffs?
playoffs. Yeah. Okay, Casey. There's been a couple of firings across the bow there.
Yeah, Giants fired defensive coordinator Shane Bowen. He's getting in line with Brian Daboll. He's out there. Maybe Kafka's got to go, dude, after giving up, not taking that field goal when he had it.
Oh,
The interim Charlie Bullen, he will be the defensive coordinator. He's been the linebackers coach. And Dave, the Raiders, just in time for the Charger game, chip off the old block. Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator. He gets
gone.
his walk-in papers, jumps right off the plank, right into the ocean, as well as Bob Bicknell.
Yeah.
We're diving deep into Raiders fire
Okay.
coaches, Dave. It's
He's
not going
always been
well
a
in
right
Las
hand man for
Vegas.
Chip Kelly there, but yeah, they will have Greg Olson calling the plays there. We'll see if that
What, the
gives them a
commentator from
yeah, right.
Fox? He's the tight
No,
end. What's he?
the
Oh,
different the QB coach Greg Olson,
okay.
and maybe he'll give him a little little jolt there. That sometimes happens. We'll see. Casey, moving on. More news about Jackson Smith and Jigba. Did we not cover this story already?
No, we got another one, dude. What else can Jackson Smith and Jigba do? He set the Seahawks receiving yards record, and we're only going into the end of November here. But
Jeez.
JSN says, I see it as a team award. He replaced DK as a top receiver in Seattle this offseason, and he's rewarded the team for rewarding him. We mentioned it earlier, 1,313 receiving yards. Metcalf had the record, but it took him all 20 games. Smith's done it in 11. So on pace for those 2,000 yards, man. So it's going to be interesting to see this down the stretch, man. So he's had at least 79 yards in every game. So it looks like this might come into fruition, baby.
He's got a little ways to go to replace Steve Largent in my heart as the top
Impossible.
as the top Seahawks guy. Okay, let's move it on to your Cowboys, Casey. How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, how about him, baby? We'll get in there. I'll do a little strutting here in a little bit, but Dak Prescott set the team record for career passing yards, passing Romo in Romovember. Tony had 34,183 passing yards. Dak only needed 160 to tie the record, and he hit that in the first half with a nice touchdown pass to GP. So Dak almost doubled the 160. He actually did double it with 354, giving him 34,378 and counting.
That is a lot, but Casey, that brings us to our fantasy domination. No, total fantasy domination. Who's the quarterback this week that lit it up?
Oh, you're never going to guess who it is. It's famous Jameis Winston, baby, doing it for those Giants. 366 passing yards, 2 passing TDs. 13 rush yards and a receiving touchdown. Just not enough to beat those Lions. Why, Dave? Why couldn't he beat the Lions?
Jameer Gibbs ran all over them and received the football and then continued to run all over them. He's on the Disco Donkeys and obviously the Detroit Lions. 219 rush yards, 2 rush TDs, 45 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown. Wow.
And we talked about the trifecta, the triple nug for the Thanksgiving Day trio. Jackson Smith and Jigba yet again for Los Burros Locos, dude. 4 rushing yards. Oh,
Really?
wait. 167 receiving yards and 2 receiving
Damn.
touchdowns.
Also, it's Hunter Henry at the tight end position, Purple Sabbath, and the New England Patriots. 115 yards and a receiving touchdown for Hunter Henry. Former Cha-Cha.
Former Cha-Cha.
All right, moving along to the fantasy go back starts of the week. Casey, do you have any regrets? I think not. I mean, couldn't possibly have any regrets when my lightning strikes took down your foul boys.
Dave, I do have some regrets. I got home late on Thursday and had only a couple minutes to debate whether to play Josh Allen or Matt Stafford. Stafford's been on a crazy heater, but Josh Allen is the number 1 ranked fantasy quarterback. And you know my motto, Dave, play your best players. It doesn't matter the matchup. This one came back to bite me because Josh Allen only had 8 points, where Matt Stafford had 28.92. That would have put me well over the 102 that I had, and at least it would have gotten me into the money if you didn't have any changes. But Dave, where I messed up was not peeping your roster. You know why? Because you had the Texans defense, Josh Allen going against, and you had Devontae Adams and Kyron Williams, dude. And I knew Adams was going to go off had I made the switch. Those touchdowns would have been mine.
They would have been negated, at least the ones that were passed to Devontae, and that was 2 of them, Casey. I myself had some regrets, though, and I can't honestly say I would have gone back and done this, but if I'd have played Travis Etienne instead of Kyron Williams, Etienne got a 17.6 and Kyron Williams got a 4.8. That would have added 12.8 to my score, which was 4th place overall, even though I did get the W against you and your foul boys. My lightning strikes came in 4th place. Had I put Etienne in instead of Kyron Williams, I would have had the top score and I would have been in the money, just edged out to the number 1 score. That would have been nice, but I'll take the W as a consolation prize.
And, hey, the foul boys have been red hot lately. Consider yourself lucky.
I got out this time. Not so lucky in week 1.
Maybe we'll meet again in the playoffs.
That'll be the rubber match, right? Yep. Okay, let's move it on to the Survivor 3 strikes, Casey. Last week's most popular correct pick was
the Seahawks over the Titans. Almost 29% of the country agreed.
And last week's most popular incorrect pick,
the Bills over the Texans. I'm not sure a lot of people jumped on that one. If they were living La Vida Loca, bro.
Yeah, that 2% of the people had that particular pick there. So next week, Casey, we have a handful of decent picks for the people to choose from.
Yeah, you, me, and 43% of the country like our Chargers to beat the Raiders. The Jags over the Titans are good for almost 24%. And the Eagles over the Bears, oh my, just under 10%. I'm staying away from that Black Friday game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, we're getting to that point in the season where you've used up a lot of good teams. And if you haven't done some glimpsing ahead at the future schedules there, you might be on some.
I got some slim pickings coming up, Dave. I'm not going to lie; it's going to be brutal in the next few weeks.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I already took my Chargers, so let's just put it that way. So I'm going to be picking from down the list a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I still have yet to take the strike, and I'm one of 4 people in the bigger pool. 81 people out, 4 people left.
Nice. That's a big payday
there. Good payday there, folks. Okay, folks. This is it. This is time. It is the NFL game previews. There are no buys this week, 16 games, obviously, with the Thanksgiving slate that we have. They don't have enough games to go around if they have buys this week. It is, in fact, week 13 in the NFL.
Wait, what?
Week 13. We'll get things started here on Thursday, Casey.
Wait, what week is it?
13.
It's slipping away.
Trying to get into these Thanksgiving Day games, Casey. And this is a hell of a slate. here. Nor historically speaking, before the Dan Campbell days, the that morning game was always just like on the TV while I was getting things cleaned up for the people, uh, vacuuming, etc., etc. Now that morning game is a big one, and this is the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions to start things off on Thanksgiving morning. Wow, that's a good football game.
Yeah, and even better than that, Jack White is playing halftime in Detroit Rock City. So you know it is going to be electric here. But I guess I'm supposed to talk about the Green Bay Packers coming off a stomping the Minnesota Vikings 23-6. I had the kid at Disneyland on Sunday, got back to see the text from Viking fan. Why did you trade Micah Parsons to the Packers for nothing? I was like,
He
well,
wasn't happy about that,
we
huh?
got Kenny Clark, we got Quinnen Williams, and we have an extra first round pick. So it ain't nothing. But Vikings are welcome to trade with us anytime they like. It's always worked out so well for them, right, Dave? But I'm here to talk about the Pack, and they kind of got right last week after struggling through a couple games in that big time loss to the Eagles. They did not have uh, Josh Jacobs in this thing. No prob, Bob. Bring in Emmanuel Wilson, and he was incredible, Dave. 28 carries,
Yeah,
107 yards, and 2 touchdowns, man. Had plenty to beat those stupid Vikings, but it was actually the defense for the Pack, man. They were back, and they gave J.J. McCarthy all he wanted and more, actually more than he wanted, dude, because he got that little concussion and is probably or is going to be out this week. Micah Parsons, what do you have? He finally got back in the sack column, had a couple of those. I think it's 10 on the season so far.
yeah.
Green Bay finding their stride. Christian Wilson, Christian Wilson, come on, dude. Watson, thank you.
Christian
Elementary,
Watson,
dear Watson.
number
feel like
9.
I feel like my grandpa these days trying to remember all these players, but he's really starting to be that go-to receiver that Love needs, especially with Kraft going down. So feels like the Pack is starting to heat up, but they're going to have their hands full against the Lions. This is going to be a good game day. This is a huge game for that division.
No question about it. And the Lions coming into this game after a hard fought win, surprisingly, against the New York Giants, where they actually had to battle back to get that 34-27 victory. Just looking back at this Detroit schedule, after starting off with the loss and then winning 4 straight, they've gone loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. So by that measure, we would be queued up for a loss. Who knows?
Mm.
I'm not suggesting that they're just following that pattern, but they haven't found any consistency putting 2 W's together. This one, again, like you mentioned, is an absolutely huge game for these guys. But last week, the Lions, um, they had a pretty nice performance. Obviously, we briefly mentioned it in the fantasy um, domination section there. Jameer Gibbs kind of
Total
went
fantasy domination,
right
Dave.
there. You go. Jameer Gibbs kind of went nuts in this game. 219 yards last week in the big W there against the Giants. They just couldn't stop him. And if he can get that kind of run game going against his Packers, then that's going to be an enormous advantage. Amon St. Brown also cashed in on 149 yards and a touchdown last week. Gibbs, by the way, 2 touchdowns rushing and 1 receiving there, along with his 45 receiving yards. If Gibbs can do that, I mean, it's going to be tough for the Packers offense that has been sort of sputtering here and there and has lost a couple of contributors there, big time players, that maybe we'll see this Lions team find their rhythm here in this game. And if they can, like I said, if Gibbs can do that, then boy, it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, man, it is gonna be good. But Dave, you know why we're here on Thanksgiving, man? Is the afternoon, and we're having Thanksgiving dinner, not lunch. So it will happen after this game. So hopefully, I don't have any indigestion, and hopefully, I'm not having to eat my feelings. It could happen though. It is the Kansas City Chiefs at my Dallas Cowboys, and I think the Chiefs are a 3-point favorite in this one.
Yeah, I didn't put the things in there. The Chiefs are
That's what
three
she
point
said.
favorites currently. That is a good point. Um, yeah, and Chiefs coming off of a big win, man. to get to 6-5. They're sitting there at 5-5. They're still on the outskirts, kind of trying to peek their way in or crash into this playoff mix here. They went down 20-9 to the Colts last week, and it looked like the Colts were just going to do their thing. But that Spagnuolo defense really tightened up in the second half. They really shut down Jonathan Taylor, held him to just 58 yards, 3.6 yards a carry. I don't know if the Colts went away from it or if just the way that the Chiefs were defending them just really shut down that run game. And then obviously Mahomes and company kind of clawed their way back into that game, finding a way to push that thing into the overtime period and then getting the W there. They won that one like the Chiefs had been winning games for the last 5-6 years, ever since Mahomes and Andy Reid sort of teamed up there. But Rashee Rice, an incredible performance there, and Kareem Hunt, a really, really nice running game there. That's what they sort of got their rhythm in the second half there. And that Kansas City Chiefs team in the second half, if they can go to Dallas and kind of do what they did defensively to that was a really good Colts offense that they shut down basically in its entire second half for the most part. It's going to be a challenge here with this Cowboys team that obviously you're going to talk about.
Yeah, tale of two halves for these Cowboys last week too. They're down 21-0, but it wasn't as bad as that score indicated. A couple weird things happened. The block punt that didn't get called. They extended the drive, a couple touchdowns, but Dak hits GP at the end of the first half, kind of get off the mat, 21-7.
Beautiful.
And after the Eagles scored those points, that was it. 8 straight drives of absolutely nothing. And that Cowboys defense, man, they really came to life. Quentin Williams, dude, has had a massive impact on this defense, getting so many bodies back, and Overshown too coming back. Speed, baby. It's been nice to see him out there. There's a chance that Trevon Diggs is going to come back for this one. I'm not sure that he's gonna, but you're starting to see this youth movement for the Cowboys. There's a Rock who's starting to play better. Bland looks like he's getting healthy. Reddy Stewart. So it's nice to see that this defense is playing so solid. Back-to-back wins, back-to-back impressive performances. So I'm excited. They're going to have their hands full, obviously, against these Chiefs. Very little margin for error. How about Dak in the Wayback Machine with the touchdown, running it in last week? Lots to see. And they did this with CD not having a great game. So I expect him to bounce back in this one. It's going to be a tough physical game. And, at least the Chiefs went into overtime last week. So maybe they that will help. Maybe they'll be a little bit exhausted in this thing, but they need this game too. But the Cowboys, man, if they come out of this one and can beat these Chiefs, man, it doesn't get any easier because they had the Detroit Rock City Lions the following week, but there'll be belief going, and we'll see what can happen, man. So it'd be their first time over 500 all season long. All they got to do is beat the Chiefs, right? That's all.
No problem.
No problem. Okay, it's just the Chiefs.
All right, moving on to the third game, the dessert game for the Thanksgiving holiday. It is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are favored by 7 in this football game. It was, though, initially 10.5, and then as the news trickled out that we were going to get Joe into the game, then obviously that number shifted a little bit. So it's interesting to see the spark that he's going to give us. Now, I'm not talking about Joe Flacco, Casey. I'm talking about Burrow.
That would be wacko. Yeah, no. The Bengals would love to get him back for this Thursday nighter. Everything that they still want, I think, is right there in front of them. If they can find a way
to run the table.
Yeah, all they got to do is go beat the Bills at Buffalo, come back and beat these Ravens again at home, go to Miami and beat the Dolphins, and then they host Arizona and they host the Brownies to finish the season. But they were in striking distance, man. They had some fear going into these Patriots. Starting to see Chase Brown get that run game going, dude. He had 19 for 107, almost 6 yards a carry, though. Not going to have Higgins in this one, but they do get Chase back. So who knows, man? I'll be interesting to see if getting Burrow back is enough to push these guys over the edge. A huge, huge divisional matchup. And Baltimore's playing pretty good football too, but we mentioned it at the top of the show. Lamar Jackson does not look healthy, and that could be a problem in this game.
Yes, it certainly could be a problem, and no doubt about it. He has not been running the ball nearly as efficiently as been in his throughout his career, and he also, you know, has been taking more sacks as well. So we know he obviously had the hamstring issue that he missed several games from earlier, but you know they've been winning all those games. I believe they've won 5 straight games if I'm not mistaken. So this is one of the hotter teams in the NFL, and they have been they were left for dead basically at the beginning, third of the season or something, and now just stringing together these wins is really getting them going. Derrick Henry wasn't able to do a lot last week. You mentioned Lamar sort of struggling a bit. His 13 of 23, 153 last week in the game, although they were able to find the W against the Jets. The Jets were out in front for a good spell of time there before the Ravens defense really did clamp down on them. So Ravens defense is going to maybe have to do a little of the heavy lifting this week. While we'll see if Lamar and company can get things together. Obviously, that cool trick play, the hurricane there that won them the game with Andrews
Yeah,
running the
Andrews
ball.
got me a 1.1 last week in fantasy, so I
Yeah,
could have
so
used that hurricane
yeah, might
last
might
week.
have might have needed one of those last week for you. Huh? Um,
Yeah.
I'm guessing that the Ravens at home are going to be able to take care of business here, but adding Joe Burrow to that mix, and like we said, with the way that the Ravens are kind of like, I don't know, there's just they're not quite right, even though they've got that win streak going. Um, they, this is going to be a challenge for them
Absolutely. And
because you got a desperate Bengals team. Let's put it,
for
right out
sure.
there.
And plus a little spark. There hasn't been anything to really like get them happy
Yeah,
lately.
right.
Joe Burrow back will do that. All right. No, it makes me happy, Dave. Black Friday football. NFL found one window that was left to take over. And they said, guess what? That's ours. Gimme, gimme. And
Yep.
this is a game, two divisional leaders, dude. One of them might blow your mind. It's the 8-3 Chicago Bears at the
Crazy.
Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 7. Dave, Chicago Bears in first place.
Yeah, it's a little crazy even when I look at the record there at 8-3. I believe they've won 5 straight, maybe 4 straight to get to that spot. I think they were 4-3 and have put together 4 straight wins to get to 8-3 there. Yeah, they still have 2 games against Green Bay coming up, and one against San Francisco and one against Detroit. So it's nice that they have that 8-3 record. They come off a close battle against the Steelers where they edged them out 31-28. And that, of course, really, the thing about Caleb Williams, it seems like now with the Ben Johnson running the show there and this far into the season, it seems like he's hitting things more in rhythm.
Yep.
He's not like finding just let me just run, or spin around and do the whole scramble maneuver. He's getting that back foot and just bam, letting it rip. And I think it's really paying off. 239 yards last week, 3 touchdowns, no picks, a 104 quarterback rating. The running back Menungai got into the end zone for him. They weren't running the ball exceptionally well, but they were able to basically edge out the Steelers in a close one there. And like I said, it's good that they have those 8 wins right now because the schedule remaining is daunting, and it goes here right now against this Eagles team that they're facing. But the Eagles have their own problems and question marks.
Yeah, dude. We've been saying, oh man, the vibes are ill in Philadelphia, but they're 8-2. Well, we saw them go down and lose to my Dallas Cowboys last week. Now they're sitting at 8-3 with a pretty big game against the Chicago Bears. And you're like, what's wrong with the Eagles? They hadn't been putting up a lot of offense. Got a couple breaks last week, but if you dive in there a little bit, sure, AJ Brown had a good game, and so did Devontae Smith. But what they're missing is Saquon Barkley, dude. It's just
Yeah.
not been the same. I don't know if it's all the carries he had last year or what it is, but against my Cowboys, dude, 10 carries, 22 yards, and the costly fumble late in that game. So,
Yep.
wouldn't be out of the a question to see the Eagles just fall off the map right here. They did a couple years ago. We're sitting at 10-1 and ended up getting a wild card and losing that division. I don't think that's going to happen this year, but they don't have Lane Johnson. Saquon's not running like he has been. Like I
Yeah.
said, the vibes are bad. They got a couple cats left that game banged up last week on defense. So we'll see what happens here. Turn around a short week. At least they're hosting, but this is an important game. And if they somehow lose this one, watch out. People will be flipping out, firing coaches in Philly are talking about it. They probably already are.
No doubt about it. All right. Moving on to Sunday and the early games. Casey, you're going to handle this one. It is the New Orleans Saints heading to Miami to play the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are favored by 6 in this one.
Yeah, the Saints got blowed out by the Falcons last week, 24-10, and definitely taking the lumps of a first-time head coach and a rookie quarterback getting his starts. 43 pass attempts for Shuck. It's way too much, dude.
Yeah.
Sacked 5 times. Kamara gets hurt in that game and goes out too. So not a lot for the Saints to play for here. And then these Dolphins, they destroy the Bills, go to across the pond, and then lose to the Commandos. So they're on the outskirts too, 4-7. I think they're in the tuna net. So
Yep.
we will see what happens. But yeah, we can get past this game. You have any finishing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a disappointing season for the Dolphins. That kind of unraveled, um, a month ago. And the Saints team, we projected it from the very beginning, and it's the type of season that we got there. But they still got to look at Shuck and see if they can, find some things to
They're going to be high. Yeah, in that draft, are they going to have to go after a quarterback again? At least you can do that these days if you need to, because we're not paying those stupid salaries. All
gotta
right,
handle it.
Dave. Up next, it is the San Francisco 49ers at the Cleveland Browns. Party over here, y'all. The 49ers are 5-point favorites on the
Yeah.
road.
How about let's talk 49ers first here. They come off that win the other night, 20-9 over Carolina. And it's been a good Carolina team. But it was San Francisco overcoming 3 picks by Purdy early in that game. It just seemed like he was looking for the
Trying to go
Panthers.
in that game.
Man,
Jesus.
he was underthrowing dudes and throwing it straight to Panthers. I was like, dude, just take the easy stuff. And when they started doing that, McCaffrey, who got like 8 of the first 11 touches or whatever, had himself a heck of a game, 142 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown there. San Francisco defense really did a great job also bottling up the Carolina run with Rico Dowdle, who had been doing some good things, but they just couldn't get it going with that San Francisco defense there. And then Cleveland on the other side, they come off that big win over the Raiders with the win for Shador Sanders. Good for him in his first start. That took a long time for the Browns, and it did seem like he gave them a spark, and it seemed like the fans and the team itself was rallying around him. Cleveland on the other side defensively comes up with 10 sacks in that game. Yeah, I think that they're going to be living in Geno Smith's nightmares for a long time now, that Cleveland defense. 3 sacks for Myles Garrett in that one. So if the Cleveland defense can play like that, they're going to stick around this game and give Shador Sanders a chance. But Sanders better watch out for that San Francisco defense too.
Yeah, dude, Sunday in Cleveland, a high of 42 and an 80% chance of rain. So them
Yeah,
pretty boys coming to the Midwest saying, hello, Cleveland, on a short week. Maybe the Brownies can do the NFC teams a solid.
yeah, that the weather can be an equalizer, right?
Yep.
Okie dokie. Up next, Casey, it is, let's see, where are we here? We've got the
Hot
Atlanta
Atlanta,
Falcons
baby.
at the New York Jets, and the Falcons on the road in this one are favored by 2.5.
Yeah, and I just talked to you about these Falcons beating the Saints 24-10, kind of saved their season. Kirk Cousins looked a bit more comfortable. He had 2 TD passes and just 1 interception. Bijan and Algier, a nice 2 combo. they go over the 100-yard mark together. Mooney and 374 and a touchdown. I'm not sure if Drake London's going to be back in this one or not. Man, they could use him. And then the Jets, that game was 7-3 against the Ravens at halftime, and kind of anybody's game, but the Ravens just kind of outclassed them in the second half. Tyrod probably be the starter for the rest of the season. It looks like Brees Hall only 16-44. So I'm not sure how much juice the Jets are going to bring to this thing, and like how much want is left in them,
Yeah.
for the rest of the season. But Aaron Glenn will be back. Some of these players won't. So if you want a job, you got to figure out how to inspire yourself for this last month of football. But with also with that Baker injury for the Bucks, Falcons, off the mat, so to say. So
Right. Sitting at 4-7s, you're going to get the best Falcons effort that they can bring. Because if they can run the table, they're still in the mix.
yeah, big time, dude.
Yep. So it's be interesting.
All right, up next it is the Jacksonville Jaguars, baby, at the Tennessee Titans, and the Shags are 6.5-point favorites.
Yeah, and Jacksonville coming off a really exciting overtime victory over the Cardinals. That was a hard-fought one. Jacksonville overcame 4 Trevor Lawrence turnovers, 3 of them interceptions, and 1 fumble that was run in for the end zone. So it was an immediate score cashed in. Lawrence does throw 2 touchdowns in that one to help the Jaguars rally, and they get the W in overtime. Really a fun game to watch, actually. And then on the other side, you've got Tennessee. They're coming off a loss to Seattle, but they played well in that game. They lost 30-24. Cam Ward, 28 of 42, 356, and a touchdown. Cameron Ward feeling pretty good about those numbers, at least, and the competitiveness of that Tennessee team. Um, but the problem was the combination of running backs, Pollard, Spears, and Chestnut. They were just 20 rushes for 61 yards and a
Ugh.
touchdown. That's less than 2 yards a carry. They got to get Ward more balance in order to compete against this Jacksonville team here. And Jacksonville obviously needs to get this W. They can't come into Tennessee, a 1-win Tennessee team, and they cannot screw this thing up. They got to get that 8th win. There's a lot of teams in that pack right there fighting for the back end of the AFC playoffs.
Yeah, and they still have 2 games against the Colts, so lots to be said in that
Yep.
division, Dave. But the team you're about to introduce will have a lot to be said in this division.
Yes, and this is a really big, important game for the AFC South coming up, Casey. It is going to be the Houston Texans on the road to play the Colts in Indianapolis, and the Colts at home are favored by 4.5 in this one. But man, the Texans' defense has been surging. This is going to be a fun game to watch.
Dude, when I was Thursday night, I kept saying, "Is this the 85 Bears?" Because they were kicking the absolute shit out of Josh Allen in that game, dude. He
Yeah.
had nothing. I mean, there was nothing he could do, dude. 8 sacks, 2 interceptions. Um, that being said, they got into it and had a chance there at the end, but this
Mhm.
Texans defense is incredible. They're
Yeah.
hoping to get CJ Stroud back for this game. Davis Mills has been good. I think that's 3 wins for him in relief, but Stroud is the guy there. Um, Marks had a pretty nice game, and Nico's starting to flash a little bit. Lots of nice different weapons there, but this defense, man, is
Woo.
incredible for the Texans. And after what we saw Spags and the Chiefs do to these Colts in the second half of
Yeah.
that game, if they can figure out a way to shut down Jonathan Taylor, it could be a long day for Dimebag Danny.
Yeah, you just stole my thunder right there. I think the blueprint for beating the Colts, the Steelers did it, and now it was the Chiefs last week. You just take the runaway, and you don't get run over by Jonathan Taylor, and now you're in it. Even though they do have a lot of good weapons with Josh Downs and Pierce and um, uh, the Tyler Warren, they've got some really fun players to look at. Pittman Jr. there. But nonetheless, if you can stop the running game, now you're putting more onto Daniel Jones's plate. And that's when the Texans, if they have established that so they can stop the run, they'll be able to attack the quarterback and see if they can get him under pressure like that Texans defense did last week. But let's talk about these Colts because for the most part all year, They've been an unstoppable offense. And I think they had it all going in the right direction last week against those Chiefs coming up.
Mhm.
They were winning 20-9 and they ended up losing that game in overtime. That is the Chiefs, and you were facing a desperate Chiefs squad. This is an opportunity at home for the Colts to get it right again, to get themselves back into that rhythm where, I mean, it seemed like a lot of times when they're playing out there hitting their stride, everything works when they call it on
Yeah.
offense. Every single play hits, and Steichen's got to get those guys back to that kind of rhythm where they're running the ball. I mean, 58 yards rushing last week for Jonathan Taylor. That's just not what they're accustomed to. They need
No.
a better balance than that. And even Daniel Jones was held in check, really 181 yards and 2 touchdowns for Jones last week. They just got to get that going a little bit more. And that puts, when they get out in front, then their defense can go after the other team's quarterback. And we'll see how, whether it's Stroud or Davis Mills, we'll see how they can handle it.
Yeah, and the Colts better win this one because the last game of the season is at Houston, and that might have playoff ramifications
Yeah.
all over it, baby.
Yeah,
All
and
right,
they're
there's a
only 2 games in front, really. I mean,
yeah.
when you look at it, this game, right here, if the Texans can get this one, the division tightens up a little bit more, and then as we move along, whoo, baby, this thing could get really interesting.
All right, up next it is the Arizona Cardinals at the Tampa Bay Bucks, and the Bucks are 3-point favorites in this one.
Yeah, and how about this Cardinals team coming back? They took the Jaguars uh, into overtime last
Mhm.
week. It was an exciting football game. Uh, they just couldn't finish the job there. But man, ever since they've had Brissett throwing the ball for them, they have really sort of found themselves a nice rhythm with Brissett at the quarterback position, and he has been slinging it. So 317 yards last week, 49 pass attempts there, 33 completions, and a touchdown there. They need a little more balance out of the run game. Brissett had 20 yards, Michael Carter and Bam Knight 40 combined. And then George ran it once for -5, so that didn't help. They need more balance, and they're obviously heading towards Tampa here. This is a Tampa team that's kind of been struggling a little bit of late. So this Arizona team, they've been playing good football, like I said. So they're going to go in there and they're going to give the Buccaneers everything they can handle.
Yeah, the Bucks. I think they had lost 3 in a row before they lost Baker last week. That game against the Rams just kind of got away from them early with the fumble that got returned for a touchdown. It was 14-0 before he knew it hit him, and then Baker goes down at the end of the first half. So they're going to have to rely on that defense to try to win this game and shut that passing attack of the Cardinals down. So lots of divisional games left for these Bucks, but they are falling in the wrong direction. So Teddy B is going to have to try to motivate those Bucks, but it's so banged up. But Godwin came back, and I think Bucky Irving is on the horizon. So maybe that'll be enough. But it's a different team without Baker's mojo.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And they need to find a way. If it's not Baker, they need to find a way to just get a team W here. All right, moving along. It is our Los Angeles Rams, and they are playing some really good football. They're heading to Carolina to play the Panthers, and the Rams on the road are favored by 10.5. Wow, big number.
Yeah, I mean these Rams. I just said it. They smoked the Bucks 34-7, but that game was kind of over before Baker even got hurt. We talked about Stafford on the record pace to have the best TD to interception ratio in league history. I think he's had 3 touchdown passes at least without an interception in like 3 straight games and 3 or 4 TDs in 3 or 4 straight games.
Yeah,
And they did all that against the Bucks without getting anything out of Kyron Williams. He only had 46 yards. Him and Corm have been a nice 1-2 punch
big time.
lately. Didn't have it last week, but really didn't need it. But the real 1-2 punch for these Rams is Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Man, between them, over 150 yards last week. Devontae's kind of like the big play guy in the end zone, and Puka's kind of like I can do everything leading us up there. So
Yeah,
it's nice options there, and the defense is sick as hell. I'm not going to drag it down because we could talk about these guys forever, but this, in my opinion, is a legitimate Super Bowl contending team, man. Panthers are going to have their hands full.
Yeah, big time. And this Panthers team has been surprising and very, competitive all year. Start off the season, I think 0-2, put together some really nice wins. Dropped the game last week, as we talked about earlier, where they lost to the to the 49ers 20-19. And, it's a couple weeks back that Bryce Young threw for like 400 yards. A couple of weeks before that, 2 games in a row, Rico Dowdle ran for 200 plus yards. So these guys can put it together, and the thing is, they're facing this Rams defense, which that front four is absolutely all over it, man. So it's going to be a real challenge. Bryce Young coming off of that game last week against the Niners, he only threw for 169, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. So pretty lousy game for him. They couldn't get the ground game going between Dowdle and Hubbard, only about 60 yards there. So they're going to need to just establish their physicality, and that's going to be a tough order against this Ram squad.
Yeah, costly interceptions. The first one came first down and goal to go. I don't
Yeah.
know why we're passing right there with Dowdle
Oh, it
and
was
Chuba, but
yeah,
yeah.
very
So
disappointing.
good news for them is all their games are against the NFC to end the season, so maybe they can get on a little run. All right, Dave, it is the Las Vegas Raiders at our Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers 9.5-point favorites. Dave, show me your thunderbolt, big fella.
All right. Well, Raiders coming off of a real bad performance. They were obviously Geno Smith was sacked 10 times. They got banged up pretty good. Michael Mayer got hurt in that game. Ashton Genty also banged up in that game. I think his ankle is going to prevent him from playing in this game here. And the Raiders lost to the Browns 24-10. And again, they were just smothered by that Browns defense. That's inspirational for the Chargers defense, who can, on occasion, put together a pretty good pass rush. We'll see. The Chargers' problem defensively has been they've been run on quite a bit in the games that they lose, but without Genty in the mix there, that certainly is advantageous for the Chargers. Chargers are coming off their bye, and it's been basically 2 weeks that they've had to deal with getting their butts handed to them by the Jacksonville Jaguars, where they were totally dominated in practically every possible way. The Chargers' offensive line is a shambles. They've had more offensive line combinations than all but one team in the NFL. I don't know who that other team is, but I'm sure they're not
They must
surviving very
suck.
well. Herbert has been hit over and over and over again. He's pressured more than any other quarterback and hit more than any other quarterback. But he doesn't take more sacks because he gets it out. The Chargers got to get the ball out fast, out of his hands, not let Max Crosby and that front four for the Raiders, which is pretty solid. Don't let them take over the football game. They do get Amari and Hampton back in all likelihood, who has missed about 8 games. When he went on IR, he was starting to show why he was the number 1 draft pick. He's a physical runner that has a burst. The Chargers got a lot of weapons that Herbert can pass to. They just have to protect Herbert and let him work.
Yeah, man, this is a big game for the Chargers. Got games hosting Philly at KC and at Dallas versus Denver, and then at versus Houston, and then at Denver.
Yeah, it's an
So
absolute gauntlet to end the season for the Chargers. All of those teams you just mentioned have top 10 defenses as well. And the Chargers' primary weakness is they lost their best 2 offensive tackles basically for the entire season. One of them played 4 games, and that is it. So the offensive line has been terrible. Good luck, Chargers, against all those awesome defenses. Hope Herbert survives. Okay, moving it along. It is the Minnesota Vikings, and they are going to Seattle to play the Seahawks, and the Seahawks are at home, favored by 10.5 in this one.
yeah, and the Vikings, man, it's rudderless ship there. No JJ McCarthy. This is the Sam Darnold Bowl. You think they would like to have Sam Darnold back on
Oh,
this squad? You bet
whew.
they would. Sitting at 4-7, not dead yet, but it doesn't look like anything is going well for those Vikings at the moment. So, and all that money on Jetta, and he looks so disgruntled and not happy there. I get it. Who could be happy when you can't get the ball? Only 4 grabs for 48 yards last week. So, vibes are ill in Minnesota, and that Sam Darnold would, not that he's a vindictive guy, but he would love
No,
to show the Vikings what they just had. And Seahawks, man, I like what's going on with the
yeah,
12.
be interesting to see before the game the the conversations for Sam Darnold and some of the guys on the other side and the coaching staff as well that really did help revitalize his career.
Mhm.
Last week, Sam Darnold, it was 2 weeks ago that he threw 4 picks, and they were, what's going on with Sam Darnold? But last week, 2 touchdowns, looking pretty good. The running game between Walker and Charbonnet, and also receiving the ball out of the backfield, that racked up about 130 yards and a touchdown there, 2 touchdowns, I believe. Yeah, 3 touchdowns. Oh, excuse me, 2 touchdowns. Um, but the big story here, Jackson Smith and Jigba, again, 167 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns for Smith and Jigba. It's just, man, nobody can cover this guy.
Mhm.
He's a smooth route runner. He's got great hands, and then yards after the catch. He's like, I mean, he's just fun to watch, man. And um, so this has got to be a W for the Seahawks. They got to keep things going in the right direction, especially in that NFC West, which is very competitive division there. Seahawks got to find a way to just not let this Vikings team get going.
Yeah, they got a brutal schedule down the stretch too, so they gotta win this one. All right, Dave. Up next, it is the Buffalo Bills at the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would play me.
That's right. And let's see, the Bills are favored by 3.5 in this one, Casey.
Ugh.
Um, wow. Let's talk these Buffalo Bills to start with, man. Uh, wow, did they get beat up last week by the Houston Texans defense there? Um, we talked about it. The number of sacks, I believe there were 2 interceptions
Yep.
for the quarterback there, and 8 sacks, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. So he absolutely got pummeled. In that game. It was just absolute, devastation. The Steelers are looking at that, um, you know, that film and thinking to themselves, "Hey, we can put together a pass rush here. We can disrupt this Buffalo team, and also, really make them uncomfortable back there." So we'll see if that's the case. They got to get um, the running back Cook going, which they are able to do on a regular basis. But it doesn't seem, again, like we've said a number of times in our show this year, it doesn't seem like there's enough receiving weapons for the Bills to constantly put the threat on opposing defenses.
Well, they
I know.
just signed Brandon Cook, so that's gotta.
Oh, hey, I got another cook in the mix. Another too many cooks in the kitchen, maybe. I don't know, Casey. But Shakir did have a good game last week. But yeah, ultimately that game. I mean, they got to just burn the film there. They got to shore up that offensive line and protect better. Because again, the Steelers can put a pass rush on. And I don't know if it's like the Texans, but man, that is on film out there. So the Steelers are licking their chops, thinking we can do this.
Yeah, and they had the sack fumble touchdown against Caleb last week, so they're looking to do a little bit of that against Josh Allen. Aaron Rodgers a late scratch in that one. We knew it might come close if he was going to play or not. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, they were like, "No, we just can't risk it. The risk is not well enough." But the digits were working just fine on the hand. He told Chicago fan what he thought about them, but the Steelers are real hit and miss. They were great
Yeah.
running the ball last week against the Bears and actually had a lead late in that thing, just could not hold on to it. But man, dude, they are missing George Pickens on this squad, man. It's
Yep.
crazy that they couldn't figure out a way to make it work. So DK's not having the huge impact that they hoped. Mason Rudolph was decent last week, but they got to get A-Rod back. And despite all this stuff that's not gone right for the Steelers, they're still sitting there at 6-5 with everything right in front of them. So if you can find a way to beat these Bills, you do have some tough games coming up, but they're still ahead in that division. So a lot to be played for. This is actually a very important game in the AFC playoff race.
No question about it. I mean, the Bills are all but lost in terms of their own conference there, but they do still have, or their own division, my mistake, but they do still have a game at New England. So if somehow they can really put together a nice win streak, that game at New England could be super. Could pivot them back up, and then you've got the Steelers squad on the other side. Yeah, they still play Baltimore twice
Mhm.
to finish off this season. So there's a lot to be determined whether the Steelers are the team that's going to win that division. And it's seeming like it's a winner take all division.
And little ABBA right there, Dave. Winner takes it all.
You know how much I love the Hava, right? Dancing
Yeah,
Queen and such.
that's right.
All right, moving on. We're going to Sunday night football, Casey, where the Denver Broncos are playing the Washington Commanders. Broncos on the road are favored by 6.5 in this one.
Yeah, Dave, this is another Super Bowl rematch that
Oh,
went down. I didn't like how it went down when it happened, but actually, I'm rooting for the Broncos in this one. Shockingly, Broncos coming off their bye, man. I think they're sitting right now. They're the one seed in the AFC. If not, they're
the
still at
Patriots have edged them out
okay.
with one
So
more win while they were on their bye, right? So it's 10-2 for the New England and 9-2 for the Broncos.
So get this win, and hopefully they can catch the Patriots who have their bye after another Super Bowl rematch coming up. But let me talk about these Broncos, dude. The defense is incredible. Their best win as a franchise coming the week before the bye, beating those Chiefs 22-19, and uh, putting really a chokehold on this AFC West. We've given this division to the Chiefs, not giving it. They've taken it for what, the
Yeah,
last 9 or 10 years. I can't even remember,
9
but
in a row. Thank you.
unless something terribly goes wrong for these Broncos, it will be their division. And that's a tough place to play there at Mile High. But the fourth quarters for these Broncos have just been electric all season long. They just find a way to get it done late. Bo Nix is playing pretty good football, but it's that Denver defense, man, that is lights out, and it
Yeah,
makes it's really bad for opposing quarterbacks. So this is a game. Broncos had the bye week, getting healthy. They should go smash these Commandos who don't have Jaden Daniels and just keep focused and trucking forward. That's what good teams do. What you just talked about, they've got to stay pace with the Patriots. So go handle your business on the road here.
yeah. And this Broncos squad, uh, they do still host Green Bay. I mean, after this, they have the Raiders, and they go to host Jacksonville too, who's playing pretty good football. Then they go to Kansas City, then finish the season hosting the Chargers. So a lot of pivotal games in front of them, but that 9-2 record is pretty solid indeed.
Yeah, and these Broncos could sweep the NFC East with the win over the Durs.
Oof, that
All
would be
right,
nice.
Dave. I teased it. Another Super Bowl rematch, and this one is the New York Football Giants at the New England Patriots, and Drake May's got his Patriots as 7.5 point favorites.
Yeah, wow. And this is obviously two teams that are not heading to the Super Bowl because the Giants are 2-10, and the Patriots, though, very
They
well
might be.
could be. Very well could be. They're sitting at 10-2, and how quickly Vrabel has gotten this team turned around. Let's start with the Giants, though. Last week, a competitive game against the Lions, where literally it felt like they were going to win that football game, and they lose it 34-27 in overtime. So obviously, if the game goes to overtime, the Giants were playing some good ball. Ever since they went to Winston, there's an excitement level there. The guy really, I mean, his pregame speeches are for the ages. But 366 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and the reception for the touchdown. It's just there's a little more freedom. It feels like, or they're just playing to play. Football. Will they be competitive in this game? That is going to be to be seen here. Hopefully, they can make this a good game. This Patriots team sitting at 10-2, as I mentioned, um, they coming off a game where they played pretty tight football game against and get the W against the Cincinnati Bengals, 26-20. Drake May has had an MVP caliber season here, and he's been absolutely exceptional. 294 yards last week, um, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Travion Henderson has emerged as a pretty nice rookie running back there. Obviously, they've got a couple of other backs there that were banged up. Ramondre Stevenson getting back into the mix, getting healthier there. Andre Henry also coming off of a big game there. It seems like this game is, with this Patriots team sitting on top of the AFC overall, the number one seed. This would be a game that they absolutely have to cash in on. After this, it's their bye, um, and then they finish the season with some winnable games there, certainly games that they'll be favored in. If they can cash in on the ones that they're supposed to win, it's obviously very winnable games versus Buffalo, at Baltimore. Those are tough ones, obviously. But then at the Jets, who are playing decent football, and then hosting Miami to finish the season. If they win the ones they're supposed to win, they retain that number one overall seed. And that is an incredibly important advantage if they're going to be a team that goes far in the playoffs.
Dave, when I said this thing is slipping away, I meant it's slipping away. This game will be played in the first day of December.
Ooh, baby. Wow.
Buzzkill.
Wow. This whole
You know,
year has slipped away,
yeah.
has it not? 25, come and gone.
Before it slips away, though, we gotta wish all our listeners, family, and friends out there a happy Thanksgiving. It's gonna be good. Hopefully, we can get a Cowboys victory to make it that much sweeter while we're crushing those leftovers. It's gonna be outstanding, man. We appreciate you guys.
Yep, so many ways to check out the Football Dudes. TrendZone available for subscription, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Football Dude. You can find us out there on the YouTubes. Like us on Instagram and Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at Football Dudes LA. And make sure you tag us across all social media platforms.
Or just go to footballdudes.com. It's all there for you. That is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. For Casey, I'm Dave, and we are out of here.